Warning: the following video may contain harsh language, crude humor, and may offend unintentionally, and is an affiliate of Scythering Productions. The opinions and comments expressed do not reflect those of the Scythering team. All credit and criticism shall be warranted to TWS Productions. Viewer discretion is advised.
Wrestling fans, and Happy New Year! Let's kick off 2012 with hopefully a better year in professional wrestling. Why don't we get things started with the news of the week? Believe it or not, there's been some talks left and right as to why, well, Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan won the World Heavyweight title. Well, get this. Mark Henry actually suffered a torn groin during his match with John Cena on 12/12 Raw. Believe it or not, that is why he dropped the title to Big Show, only to have Mark Henry beat him up and then have Daniel Bryan win it. Yes, the whole initial thought was Henry was going to do the match anyway, lose the match anyway, and Daniel Bryan was going to get the title. So those of you that are kind of trying to figure out why his title reign's been kind of lukewarm, it's because Mark Henry got injured and they had to get rid of the title in some convenient way, and they found their convenient way. And the problem is, I can kind of see where this is going to turn into another Big Show versus Mark Henry feud in the long run. There have been talks in WWE that they're actually going to induct Carlos Colon into the WWE's Hall of Fame. Pretty good for Carlos Colon, even though he's done some work with WWE, not a whole lot of work to be 100% honest, but he's done some work. I'm sure there's more behind the scenes stuff, but hell, you got Primo and Epico that are already wrestling for the company, and you had Carlito, who was in the company for a brief moment in time, but still, Carlos Colon and Mil Mascaras, it seems like we're going to go with an international Hall of Fame this year. Those of you wondering where Brodus Clay has gone, well, no one really knows, mainly because he's been sidelined due to his comments from Twitter and kind of ruining the whole John Morrison thing. It appears that they might be either getting rid of Brodus Clay altogether or just not using him. I'm almost sure I commented on this before, but it popped up on my news feed and I figure I report it again. Brodus Clay, King Kong Bundy 2.0. Yeah, I would start seeking employment somewhere else kind of quickly, knowing WWE lately. John Cena actually mentioned that the Cena Sucks t-shirts that WWE has been passing on, he actually doesn't mind. In fact, it's so great of an idea that he actually gets royalties from each purchase. So yes, the fans are easily fish. They're easily sheep to the shepherd when it comes to this. So they're going to market a Cena Sucks shirt, and you're going to spend money on a campaign to hate John Cena. If you think about it, isn't that kind of supporting the character in a sense? Wouldn't it be easier and more efficient to not buy John Cena merchandise and fatten his wallet? If you hate the guy so much, why bother purchasing merchandise with his name on it? You fans have got some issues. You fans have really got some issues. There are some people that are actually worried about, well, Punk. Not necessarily as a champion, but necessarily in kind of the ratings game. It seems that there's been low patterns as of late when it comes to CM Punk, which is, again, scratching a lot of heads as why people are trying to figure out. Apparently, Punk isn't drawing in enough ratings that WWE wanted him to. And this is, of course, why Cena has been changed from the start of the show to the middle of the show to the end of the show and everywhere in between. Apparently, John Cena is still pulling in ratings just enough to kind of make them go, aha, but when it comes to CM Punk, they're not necessarily getting the ratings that they desire. But to be fair, the last two main events for CM Punk on Monday Night Raw were kind of okay, we kind of see the writing on the wall. There's not necessarily a reason to watch. And unfortunately, those of you that are wrestling fans will watch for the wrestling aspect, not necessarily for CM Punk. I understand that there are more kids that watch the product than probably adults, and I can kind of see where that's going to garner the interest. I mean, if you weren't a fan of CM Punk and he was in the main event, of course you'd click off, but for some reason it's just not doing it, and it's kind of a problem that I have with WWE, that they just might look at the ratings and go, yeah, we're going to get rid of Punk's title very, very soon. It's just kind of a shame, but then again, it's WWE. Officially, officials in the back have actually been discussing Michael Cole's role on commentary. Believe it or not, they feel that fans aren't necessarily receptive to the mid to upper card, mainly due to Michael Cole's bashing of them throughout the entire year. When they finally get a chance to be on TV, again, it's Michael Cole's bashing that forces us, or the fans, not to be interested. And you know, we've been saying this for a long time. If you're not The Miz, who does Michael Cole cheer for? I mean, 100% honestly, who does Michael Cole really support? Not necessarily the heels, he just goes after whoever he wants. And not only that, he completely bashes and berates everybody to the point to where we don't want to watch the show, we don't want to watch the product, we just don't want to watch it. And so it's no surprise that when Sheamus gets a push, or when Zack Ryder gets a push, or when Ted DiBiase gets a push, or when anyone gets a push, we've heard Michael Cole just berate them and just attack them and just belittle them so much. Why should we care? I mean, they actually sit there and try to figure out what's going on. Why aren't the fans getting behind these characters? A, because they're stale and boring, and B, because of Michael Cole. So there are some saying that they might tone down Michael Cole quite a bit and not bash them too much, or maybe someone's going to just shoot him in the head. But either way, just get Cole off commentary. Reports are coming in that WWE is actually interested in bringing in RVD, or at least trying to bring him back. But when it comes to the rest of the TNA talent, here are some general consensuses of who they are not quite interested in. Let's see if you can figure this out. When it comes to Beer Money, when it comes to AJ Styles, when it comes to, well, can't believe I'm saying this, Samoa Joe, they have no interest for them. None whatsoever. Or they have nothing for them. But when it comes to RVD, they're interested in bringing him back. WWE, no. Just, no. Fail. Now, there's an injury report on Randy Orton. There were some people that said that he completely fucked over his back and he'll be out for the rest of his life. Then there are some people that say, nah, we pulled the wool over your eyes, we just wanted to mess with you because he'll be out for 2 weeks. Well, we don't necessarily know that, because right now reports are saying that Orton is expected to make a full recovery, and we still don't necessarily know if and how long he's going to be wrestling on the road, but here's a spoiler alert, he is going to win the Royal Rumble. So Randy Orton got hurt, and everyone was saying he's going to be out past WrestleMania. Then you watch the SmackDown match and realize he didn't take the bump down the stairs, he just filmed it off camera. And then WWE goes ahead and says, no, he's got injuries in his L4 and L5 discs, and there's a little bit of numbing, he'll be fine in 2 weeks. No, shenanigans, I call bullshit. Don't worry, all you people that love Randy Orton, don't worry, you'll get to see him again very, very soon. Now, the biggest feud going on right now when it comes to, well, right now, because there's nothing else going on in WWE, Kevin Nash actually calls out the Ultimate Warrior. Yes, Kevin Nash calls out the Ultimate Warrior. He mentioned on Twitter that he would love to have a shoot fight with him pre-WrestleMania, that's the night before WrestleMania, probably during the Hall of Fame. Yeah, I know. Pre-WrestleMania to a shoot fight, which means they're going to exchange words back and forth, I think. Warrior comments that he'll only do it if he puts up $100,000. And he'll do the same. Where Kevin Nash basically took a shot back at him saying, well, as long as you're cleared for hepatitis and AIDS, I'll be there. Okay, so Kevin Nash and the Ultimate Warrior are having some issues with each other. They're not playing nice together right now. And they both won $100,000 out of the deal. You know, I've heard the battle of the billionaires, but how about the battle of greed? Anyone who knows Kevin Nash knows he'll do it if the money's right. And the Ultimate Warrior, he just wants the money. Yeah, this is a case of two old men who've got nothing else better to do with their wrestling careers than to make money fighting each other. Well, I'm sure that'll be the biggest match come Twitter. I'm sure Zack Ryder will love to referee that match. Those of you that are fans of Evan Bourne, don't be. Why? Because Triple H says so. Apparently there is some nuclear heat on Evan Bourne backstage, mainly for the story getting out about R-Truth getting pinched for a spice. Triple H is not necessarily the biggest supporter of Evan Bourne and is actually kind of upset with him that he's been showing some displeasure with the company. However, Bourne does have one supporter on his back, and that's Stephanie McMahon, who thinks that he actually brings some flavor, something different to the table, as opposed to everybody else who wrestles and strokes themselves off in the middle of the ring. Apparently, a lot of people are thinking that Evan Bourne is going to be like the next Paul London, who's going to be mentally broken down by the system. So yes, Evan Bourne, yeah, he made a mistake. Okay, it happens. But so did The Miz. So did John Morrison. So did Dolph Ziggler. You don't see those guys getting punished? Oh, wait, one of them you did get to see punished because you got rid of them. Anywho, yeah, you don't necessarily punish them. It's interesting to note that it's someone that's 185 pounds that actually brings flavor and style, something that WWE has been lacking lately that Triple H is pissed off at. And the best part is he's more so mad at Evan Bourne for a story getting out about R-Truth, when it was actually Dave Meltzer that broke the story. Yes, Triple H, it wasn't necessarily Evan Bourne that went out and told the world there was somebody else. It was Dave Meltzer who poked around and found shit out. So, if anything, why don't you blame the internet, not necessarily Evan Bourne? And as far as him being the next Paul London, well, he is showing a little bit of dissatisfaction with the company, and if that's his prerogative, that's his right. It's his right as an American. If you're not happy where you work, you can kind of bring up grievances, but then again, this is WWE. If you don't have Vince's ear, you pretty much don't matter. And speaking of things that don't matter, this is the last bit of news of the week, and I cannot believe I'm even going through this. But believe it or not, the latest compilation, the latest campaign that WWE is trying to bring is the women's tag team titles. Okay. WWE. 2 weeks ago, you were thinking of bringing back the King of the Ring. That was a great idea. It was awesome. We want to see the King of the Ring. It's a tournament. It's prestigious. It's something to talk about. It's interesting. The women's tag team titles? Really? Do the tag team titles for WWE have so much prestige and worth that you want to bring them back? I mean, you're hardly doing anything with the women's division as it is. And you want to bring more titles and put them on more worthless women that don't belong on the screen? WWE, how about first you work on the men's tag team division first before you have a women's tag team division? You have what, 3 tag teams that you actually use? And then you're going to go, well, maybe we need more tag teams. Yeah, you do need more tag teams, but not from the women. You're hardly even using the women as is. There's only 2 wrestlers on the roster, and I mean 2 wrestlers, Natalya and Beth Phoenix. We could stress the fact that Eve Torres is getting better and Kelly Kelly is, yeah, but that's it. You have 4 women. Alicia Fox is, yeah, and you have Caitlyn and you have AJ, and that's essentially it. I don't really see anybody else with the exception of Tamina that, well, no, you can't have a women's division with 8 women. You can't do it. You just cannot fucking do it. WWE, bad idea. Bad idea. Foul. 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 I'm telling you. No, I'm telling you, don't do it. Don't fucking do it. Don't be stupid. Work on your women's division as a whole, and then work on your tag team division before even thinking about a women's tag team division. You've got to hire like 12 more women before you can even think about it. Oh my god, I thought 2012 would be better, and it just seems like WWE's going backwards. Does anyone even think this is a brilliant idea? Does anyone even think this is a great idea? In fact, I put money on the line. Does anyone think this is a good idea and it would actually work? Ah, good evening, oh uneducated ones. Wait, whoa. Who the hell are you? Who, me? Well, I'm the Profez. The Profez? Isn't there somebody else that has that name? No, I'm sure that no one else has a name like that. You can rest assured. See, I went and got an education. Yes, I went ahead and got an education. I even got my PhD for it. You have a PhD? Yes. So, you spent big money to go to college to become a PhD of professional wrestling that you could watch on TV for free? Yes. Because that's what I do. Where the hell did you get a PhD from for wrestling? I actually came to accept your challenge to be 100% honest. You want to put money on it and have a battle of wits? Let me tell you right now, I could beat you. Yeah, go ahead, go. Wow me with your words. Well, allow me to elaborate. You see, all of you wrestling fans out there that call yourself wrestling fans, well, look at it. I mean, think about it. All of you sit there and you moan and you groan and you whine and you cry, yet what you want is what you don't even understand. Yes. Let's just have a couple of notes. The last thing that he was talking about, the women's tag team titles, that's just WWE trying to do something different. But of course, you wrestling fans don't want anything to be different. You want everything to be exactly stale and the same. That's how you like it, unless it doesn't suit your needs. If it's not CM Punk or The Miz or someone like that, or Zack Ryder, or a Daniel Bryan. You know, for some reason it's the internet champions that everyone seems to be getting behind lately. Yes. And unfortunately, that's just not going to work for the real wrestling groups. Yes, the real wrestling groups are the ones that actually watch wrestling for what it's really worth. John Cena and Randy Orton, those are the top two guys in the business, and we should be singing their praises to them for bringing the WWE to the heights that it is. If it wasn't for them, a lot of the people wouldn't be watching. In fact, a lot of people would not even be continued to watch wrestling for as long as they have. I mean, if you really think about it, when Austin and The Rock left, there was no one really left to watch. I mean, take your grand guy, The Undertaker. Ooh, he's so mysterious. He's only pushing 140 years old. He's got about as much wrestling ability as Sting these days. Do you really think that he's going to be able to bring the company around? No, so they're going to put it on somebody else that actually can go the distance, that actually wants to go the distance, and yet you people sit around and you bash John Cena and you bash Randy Orton for always winning, because that's called building character. Oh my God, a wrestler wins all the time. Ooh, that's such a sin, as opposed to your internet champion known as CM Punk. I mean, what has he really done for the company? He's absolutely done nothing. He doesn't garner in the ratings. He doesn't bring in merchandise. He doesn't really do anything. He's just the scoop of the month and the flavor of the week that's eventually going to get stale, just as like everybody else has. That's why no one can put the title on anybody else, because the fans are erratic. They don't know what they want. They think they know what they want, but they're not. What the best part is, it's the same people that wanted the Attitude Era. They're getting the Attitude Era, and yet they're not tuning in to watch their own stuff. And that's the best part. You have your Zack Ryder's, for instance. He's an internet sensation. The only reason why he was pushed to the moon is not because of his wrestling ability, but because of his internet show. Yes. It's not because he's a great wrestler, it's because he has an internet show. And the only reason why that even got as popular as it was is because WWE pushed it. Those of you that aren't smart enough to understand that is because they were talking about it on WWE. Fans that didn't know what YouTube was or use YouTube, or hell, even little kids that didn't know about YouTube, they would know what Zack Ryder's web show was thanks to Michael Cole mentioning it on Monday Night Raw. And isn't it funny that the moment they start saying Zack Ryder's web show, they start putting clips of it on WWE? Kind of funny how that works, but of course you people are so well educated and didn't go to Oxford like I did to understand how wrestling works. See, I understand how wrestling works, and they're trying to do something different, and you people bash it. You guys are just so sick of the mundane and so sick of the, well, let's face it, the boredom that is WWE. Yeah, when it was Stone Cold Steve Austin doing the same thing every week. Kenny McMahon, you people cheered for that. It's okay to cheer one thing but not cheer another. Yes, it's so hypocritical of all of you, and it's such a shame. So I'm going to throw down the gauntlet right now, Mr. DM, or whatever name you might have out there. But let me tell you one thing. If wrestling is so bad, and wrestling is just absolutely atrocious, to the point to where you can't watch it anymore, tell me something. Why do you continue to watch it? I mean, really, is it the wrestling aspect, or are you just so hooked? I mean, come on. You're going to be jumping up and down. You're going to be screaming and yelling when someone actually does something different, and then WWE will just turn it around and make it better for themselves. You forget it's a business, and you only cheer for the people that they tell you to cheer. Not because you want to cheer them, but because you have to cheer them, because it's been that way the entire time. If you knew about Hulk Hogan in the past, you probably wouldn't be cheering him, but because of what they presented on the screen, you cheered him. That's how it works. That's business, and it's what WWE's been doing for almost 50 years. And yet now you people are all so educated. All you do is what? Type on the keyboard just a little bit harder than the next person. You have blogs and websites dedicated to how much you hate or love WWE, yet you guys are the experts? Oh, please, I absolutely think not. I'm going to take this whole entire web show down, and if there's anything you can say in retort, go ahead. I dare you, say something in retort, because everything I say is the truth. Dude, you're wearing a purple gown and mortarboard with glasses. They're my class colors, you dickhead! It seems that the year of 2012 is going to be a very interesting one, especially with characters like that, the Profez. Where do they come up with a name like that? I thank you all for watching That Wrestling Show. You can go to the website at thatwrestlingshow.webs.com. You can go to the chat room every Monday. You can tune in to the chat room and talk to myself and BM, and we'll do the whole Monday Night Raw thing, which has actually been kind of a roller coaster as of late. There were a lot of talks about Chris Jericho, there were a lot of talks about Kane, there were a lot of talks about WrestleMania 28, and there were also some talks, I believe, about Slim Jims in the chat room this week. I'm not 100% sure how that conversation went out, but we all have a good time, and you should all come down to the channel. Don't forget to subscribe, and of course, visit the website and do everything in between. I am DM from That Wrestling Show saying Happy New Year, and until next time, we'll see you then.